Just want to ask about Stuart Skinner really held you guys in there in that second period when they made a hard push. We've all seen the ups and downs he's had this year. As a coach, when you see him come out of that maybe a little bit of a funk that he had, is that something that he has to do himself, or is that something that you guys can help him out with, or how do you see that the way he's playing right now?
I think it's a lot of things. I don't think it's necessarily just all on the player. And I think, the support, his family, talking to him, is he happy with how things are going? The practices, the drills that are getting utilized during practice, what are we working on? And then how is the team playing in front of them? And what kind of opportunities are we giving up? Is it a lot of shots? Is it few shots, but are they breakaways, odd man rushes, stuff like that? So, but for him to get dialed in and playing the way he is, as much help as you can give him, it lays on his shoulders. And I think he's done a tremendous job rebounding after a stretch when he hasn't played well. And his stretches usually aren't that long. Like, he usually rebounds quite quickly and plays a really solid game. And I've seen it all last year, and obviously this year during the playoffs. Obviously that first round wasn't how he anticipated it. But, man, since he's come back, he's been really good.
Stay in that same road, Dan.
Kris, we all know what McDavid does to drive play, but how does it change the dynamic of your offense when he's actually putting the puck in the net?
A little surprised we went through the playoffs and as many shots and quality opportunities he had. He hadn't had more goals. And, there's the luck effect. Sometimes they go in, sometimes they don't. You knew it eventually. And especially that line. That line had been, going in tonight, I think about 70 minutes they'd been playing together, and they'd only scored 2 goals, even though their expected goal rate is about 70%. You knew at some point it was going to break through and they were going to start producing. It's just a matter of time. And, McDavid got 2 tonight, Hyman. So there's some goals without them together as a line, but, good players can play well and not score, but it's not going to be very long. It's amount of time before they start going in, and tonight was the night.
Right side, front row, Josh.
Kris, Connor called Ryan Nugent-Hopkins your Swiss Army knife. As a coach, I don't want to call it a luxury, but it's like to have a guy like that you can put out anywhere, the flow of the game, just his presence in the room.
Yeah, it's so nice. As a coach, you want players with flexibility. When I say about flexibility, just use them all different situations. And whether we need a right winger, left winger, center, or shut down, scoring. And Ryan's that kind of player. He's played a lot of center. He's on a first unit power play. He's out there for every start, at every penalty kill. He's plays the majority of his shifts with McDavid, but if we need him playing center, he'll do that, and he'll do a great job. And you see on the third period when he's playing with Kane and Hyman, they were a good line. And obviously it starts with the centerman. Leon joked last year that he's my favorite player. But anytime you have a player that can do so much as a coach, you're very thankful for.
Left side, second row, Jason.
Kris, Jake Wallman and John Klingberg just continue to not get scored on. Wallman blocking shots all over. Can you just talk about kind of that pair and what you've seen and, another strong night from them?
They've been tremendous. We got Klingberg coming in the second game of the LA series, and weren't sure what to expect because he hadn't been playing. He's coming back from an injury. We put him back in the lineup, and he's just really solidified that back end. He's helped that group a lot. Just Wallman and him are tremendous at moving the puck. That's what they've been known for. But right now, just seeing them digging in and, battling as hard as they are, blocking shots, right from day one, we've seen Wallman do that a ton. Klingberg's been blocking a lot of shots through the playoffs. And I know one thing about Klingberg, talking to him when he first got here, and he wanted to, everyone knew how good of a puck mover he was, and he can be on a first unit power play. And you see the plays that he can make on the blue line, and the goal in the third period is a indicator of what he can do with the puck. But he wanted to really show people that I can play defense too. And, I think he's been doing a tremendous job playing some pretty good defense.
And do you have an update on Connor Brown? Is he in concussion protocol?
I don't have any update on him right now, and well, tomorrow morning I'll have some information.
Right side, third row.
Kris, obviously the 1 o'clock start, very different for your group. Did you have to put a lot of more thought and planning into pre-game stuff, how you would kind of just plan everything out, I guess, before the game to make sure that your team was ready?
It changes the routine a little bit, but we play 1 o'clock games in the during the regular season, so we have a routine that we do, and we just followed that. And tonight was, we haven't done that for a playoff game, so but it was just the same thing that we do for a regular season.
On the left side, standing Corey.
Hi, Kris. Going back to McDavid's goal at the end of the second period, how big is that a momentum swing with Dallas pushing the way they were? And does it change your message at all going into the third period or in the second intermission, up 2 as opposed to up 1?
I don't think it changes my message, but I think it changed the temperature in the dressing room and on the bench, just knowing that we had that 2-goal lead and they were pushing, and then Connor just steps up and makes a huge play, and I believe there was Hyman and Leon out there with him, so it wasn't all by himself. Actually, it started with Hyman in the forecheck, won the race, eliminated the icing, and then obviously Connor makes a great play to score the goal. But I think we were able to just settle down and then get back to what we needed to do. So whether it was 2-1 or 3-1 going in, my message was going to be the same. I think it was probably a little easier to, the players a little more receptive, knowing that we've got a 2-goal lead.
Left side, front row, Pierre.
Yeah, Kris, I think you'd agree that Stuart Skinner is maybe the most polarizing player on your team, among your fan base. What have you learned about him as a person and as a goalie since you've been here?
I don't know. Well, when I got here, I didn't know anything about him. When I first got this job and getting here, last year I was so impressed that when he did have a bad game, how well he responded right away. And that's not easy for any player, and especially a goalie. And a goalie in his hometown in this market, and I think he's done a really good job. And he's still, he's kind of getting over being called a young goalie. The amount of games he's played, and especially the amount of games he's played in the playoffs. I'm not sure where he ranks, but he's certainly got a lot of experience. I'm just impressed with how well he manages the expectations, playing in front of a good team. And and when we do need him, he comes up big. Tonight there was a lot of work for him. He was busy. Some nights, it's not as busy, but I think he's a very, very solid goaltender, and just the way he plays, it's what we need.